Salve Discipoli. Hope everybody's having a good day. Let's make it even better by doing some Latin. So today we're going to talk about verbs and verb tenses. And just as a reminder, we have learned how to conjugate the being verb in 3 tenses. So let's quickly review that. Okay. All right, in the present tense, we conjugate the being verb as sum est, sumus estis sunt. I am, you are, he, she, it is, we are, you all, they are. In the imperfect tense, eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratus, erant. I was, you were, he, she, it was, we were, you all were, they were. And then finally, we learn the future tense. Ero, eris, erit, erimus, eritus, erunt. I will be, you will be, he, she, it will be, we will be, you all will be, they will be. Okay. Now, in addition to the being verb, we have also learned 2 tenses for action verbs. So let's take a look at that. Okay. In the present tense, let's use the verb naro as an example. We would have naro, naras, narat, naramus, naratus, narant. Oops. Okay. All right, let's say that together. Unus duo tres. Naro, naras, narat, naramus, naratus, narant. And of course, in the present tense, the verb is expressing an action that's going on right now. So naro would be translated as I tell, or I am telling, or I do tell, and so forth. You tell, he, she, it tells, we tell, you all tell, they tell. Okay. Then we also learned the imperfect tense for action verbs. That would be narabam, narabas, narabat. Oops. Yep. Mea culpa. Narabamus, narabatus, and narabat. Okay. So, and then narabam would be I told, or I was telling. Narabas, you told or you were telling. Narabat, he, she, it told. Narabamus, we told. Narabatus, you all told. Narabant, they told. Okay. So you all should remember that. We've looked at that pretty extensively. So today we're going to go on to the third tense, and that would be the future tense. Now, in English, when we express the future tense, we use a helping verb, and that helping verb is will. So for instance, we would say, we will eat lunch at 11:30. Okay. Or he will go to Sherwood after school. All right, we use that helping verb will to indicate that something, the action has not happened yet. It's not happening now. It is going to happen in the future. So in Latin, we don't use a helping verb to express the future. We use a set of endings, and that's probably not a surprise. So let's look at the endings for the future tense. Let me move this up here a little bit. Okay, so the endings for the future tense are as follows: bo, bis, bit, bimus, bitus, bunt. Let me say that again. Bow, bis, bit, bimus, bitus, bunt. Okay, why don't we say that together? Unus, duo, tres. Bow, bis, bit, bimus, bitus, bunt. One more time. Bow, bis, bit, bimus, bitus, bunt. Now, you'll probably notice that we have the same personal endings that we're familiar with, the O, the S, the T, the mus, the tis, and the unt. We also have a B, just like we had with the imperfect, but what's different is the vowel that comes after the B and before the personal ending. So in the first person, it's an O, then we have an I, an I, an I, an I, and a U. So you need to train your eye and your brain so that when you see these endings on a verb, it means that the action has not yet taken place. It's not taking place now. It is going to take place in the future. Okay. All right. Now, you should have a handout, or if you don't have it yet, you'll get it right now, that has, looks like this. Well, that's the answer key. Okay. Handout that has some verbs in a table. And what I want you to do is pause the video for a minute or two and just take a little time to write next to each verb what tense it's in. You don't have to translate the verbs. All I want you to do is just tell the tense. So you need to look at the endings on the verbs. So go ahead and just pause the video for a minute and do that. Okay, let me make a little space here. Okay. All right. So let's go over what you wrote on your worksheet and see if you got these right. Okay. Amabitus is in the future. Amat, present. Orabas, imperfect. Labarabamus, imperfect. Portabo, future. Laudabunt, future. Ambulabam, imperfect. Labarabis, future. Adoratus, present. Parabam, imperfect. Okay, how did you do? Did you get all those right? Okay, it takes practice, but what you need to do is when you look at a verb, remember it's opposite from English. When you look at a verb, the first thing that you see is the stem, and that tells you what the action is. So with amabatis, you see the ama first, you know it means love. Then you see the ending, and the ending tells you the tense, also the person and number. Okay. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is you're going to get a handout with a story on it, and this story is called Duo Filii, and that means two sons. Okay, so you'll get the story, and along with the story, you're going to get a worksheet, and at the top of the worksheet, it has columns labeled present, imperfect, future, and imperative. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do with the story is I don't want you to translate it. I just want you to go through and I want you to underline every verb. And then I want on the worksheet, I want you to write each verb under the correct column. So if a verb is in the present tense, you'll write it under present. If it's in the imperfect, you'll write it under imperfect. Future, future. Okay. Now, there's this also a column for imperative. Remember, an imperative verb is a command. So for instance, in class, when I say surgite, that's a command. I'm saying to you, stand up. Don't do it now. Just listen. When I say sedate, I'm saying sit down. When I say talkate, I'm saying be quiet. right? So those are all imperatives. They're commands. If I'm talking to one person, remember, it looks a little different. If I wanted to, for instance, I wanted to tell somebody to walk, I would say ambula. If I wanted more than one person to walk, I would say ambulate. Okay. Now, in the story, there are a couple of negative commands, commands where somebody is telling somebody not to do something. So this is what a negative imperative or a negative command looks like. If I wanted to tell you all not to stand up, I would say nolite surgere. Okay. So when you see this word nolite, that's essentially saying, that essentially means don't. Okay. So don't stand up. Literally, what this means is be unwilling to stand up. Okay. But this is how a negative imperative looks. So there are a couple of those in the story. So you would put those under the column titled imperative. Okay. All right, so go ahead. Again, let's pause the video, take a few minutes, go through the story. At the head of each column on your worksheet, it tells you how many of each tense there are to look for. So there are 11 in the present tense, 16 in the imperfect, 2 in the future, 5 in the imperative. Remember, here's what you're looking for. If it's an action verb in the present tense, you're looking for OST, must, tis, unt. Imperfect, you're looking for bomb, boss, bot, bommus, botus, bot. Future, you're looking for bo, bis, bit, bimus, bitus, bunt. And then, of course, don't forget the being verb. Look for those too. And several of the verbs are used more than once. List them more than once. If the same verb is used 4 times, put it on your paper 4 times. Okay? All right, so go ahead and pause the video and work on that. Okay, let's see how you did. Okay, let me get this all on one page here. That'll be easier. All right, so the first column, the present tense, there were 11 of those. So check and see if you got all these. There was sum, sum, s, sum, s, sum, pugnatus, est, 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 and est. Okay, did you get all those? All right, now there were 16 in the imperfect tense, and that makes sense because a lot of times when you're telling a story, you're telling it in the past, right? Okay, so laborabant, dkbot, 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 pugnabant, widebot, clamabot, dkbot, whoops, that should say dkbot, 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 DKBot. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those in a row. Ridebont, DKBont, and Labarabont. Okay, so I hope you found all of those that you were looking for the BA. All right, there were just 2 verbs in the future tense. There was erunt, of course, that's from sum, and then labarabimus, we will work. Okay. And then there were 5 imperatives. 3 of those were negatives. Okay. Nolite pugnare, don't fight. Laborate, work. Nolite pugnare, again, don't fight. Tacite, y'all know that one, be quiet. Nolite pugnare, a 3rd time, don't fight. Okay, well, I hope you found all of those. Okay, so now I'm going to say to stop the video again and take a few minutes and work on translating the story. You can work with another student if you'll work quietly. So just see what you can do with translating it. And then when everybody has had a chance to work on that, you can start the video again and we'll go over the translation. Okay. All right, duo filii, of course, as we said, that means 2 sons. All right. The sons of the farmer were working in the field. The first son said, I am the greatest. The second son said, I am the greatest. The first son said, "You are not the greatest. I am the greatest." The second son said, "Ha, you are not the greatest. I am the greatest." Soon the sons were fighting. The farmer saw the sons. "Why are you fighting?" the farmer shouted. "Don't fight. My sons will be friends. Work. Don't fight." The first son said, "My fault." The second son said, "My fault." The first son said, "It is not your fault. It is my fault." The second son said, "Ha! It is my fault. It is not your fault." The farmer said, "Be quiet. Don't fight." Soon the farmer and the sons were laughing. The sons said, "Now we will work." The farmer and the sons worked. Okay. Okay. How'd you do with that story? Does it remind you of you and your siblings? All right. Well, that's all I have for you today. If there's still some time left, there's an exercise you can do to continue to work on your tenses, and that's it. So, Walete, I look forward to seeing you all soon.